That's where designers excel. They can make things look more expensive, of higher quality than they are. I always thought that I want to charge as much as possible because whatever I did was worth way more than what I could charge. I just want to test and see. Oh, okay, $750, like I'm getting some pushback, but that's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep doing that until like people stop booking me or they say that's too much, I can't afford it. I'm like, I'll work with you. What do you think, looking back now, what could you say to the younger version of you? Like, this is actually not 2 chairs, it's like a hot tub time machine. This is like 2 love seat time machine.
Should we?
We're like back, right?
Yeah.
And you get to tell younger MrBenBurns on Odesk. What are you gonna tell him?
Well, 2 things. Get off of Odesk, because any platform where you allow the client to dictate the price, it's not going to be enough. It's never going to be enough.
Okay, I'm going to play young MrBenBurns then.
Okay.
Well, where else am I going to get work? There's no other place. I don't know anybody.
Well, there's this awesome group called The School, and they're
Was it in
going to teach
existence
you.
at that time?
I don't think it was.
Yeah, I don't think so.
it was.
That's not going to work. I could see that you're scrambling to figure out something on the fly. I'm going to make the big man sweat, and I don't want to see that happen, okay? Most people already blog. Most people are already on Instagram and on social media. But what they do is they put up stuff that they're interested in. So the first thing I'm going to say to you guys that are watching this is think about who your client's going to be. Who's going to hire you? Not the $50 Odesk woman, not the $500 Elancer, but the $5,000 company that's going to hire you. Who's that person? What decisions are they making? What are their pain points? So think about it for a moment, okay? Think about them and try to empathize with what they're going through. Who might they be? So who needs a $5,000 logo, Ben?
Startups that are funded.
That's too big.
It's too big.
Like everybody.
What do you
Like
mean?
a real estate agent. Like an attorney.
Okay.
Like a dentist. A dog groomer. Every entrepreneur that's in business. So here's the thing. Everybody that's running a small to medium-sized business in America needs 3 things, Ben. They need a logo, they need a business card, they need to do social media, and they need a website.
Right.
Okay? So that sounded like 4, but logo, business card, they go together.
Right.
Because you need to put the logo on something, right? So they need a little identity system with a really smart-looking logo, memorable, something that reads really well. They need a website because you cannot be a business in the 21st century if you don't have a website of some sort. And you need to do some kind of social media marketing. Everybody needs to market because nobody is going to find out about you. So now I think about, say, like in my own small town, like say I live in, what's a small town in America?
We'll go Richmond.
Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
It's a town you know quite well. So think about, canvas the neighborhood a little bit, the local businesses. Give me one type of business that might need a $5,000 logo. Give me a cool one.
There's a shoe store right across the street.
Shoe store.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tattoo shop. Last time I was there,
Yep.
I was hoping you would throw me a bone and give me the tattoo shop. That's cooler than the shoe store.
Yeah.
There's a barber shop.
Yep. So
there's like all these hipsters walking around that, you know, they want to differentiate themselves. Now that person should be able to afford a $5,000 logo. Okay? So now we have the mindset of these small to medium-sized business entrepreneurs. What are their pain points now? So let's pick one of those 3. Which one would you like?
Let's go barber.
Barbershop, something you know a lot about that
That's
I don't.
right.
Barbershop. Okay, what's a pain point of the barbershop?
Are you asking for pain points about dealing with designers and stuff like that in the past? Or are you asking for, generalized business pain points that they're
I'm asking
experiencing?
for a pain point relative to the things that we make.
Okay.
So I'm a logo designer. I don't imagine a barbershop having a ton of experience working with designers.
Right.
Chances are he designed it himself.
So that may be a pain point in and of itself. They don't know that process. They don't know what it is to to hire somebody to try and identify themselves with a logo.
Great. So that could be the topic of a blog you write.
Right.
How to pick out the right logo designer for your business. So they can say, let's say you own a barbershop and you're looking on Odesk or Elance or on this. Help guide and teach them, create value, and then introduce some ideas that you've done. So what you want to see is you want to see like 5 to 7 pieces of logo work that's consistent with the quality and the style that you're looking for. That though somebody might show you a bunch of like flowery logos, if that's not what you're looking for, it's a risk for you to work with that person. So you're looking for somebody who does the kind of style. So if it's a barbershop, just to kind of make this easy, some kind of hipster looking portfolio. So like cool masculine fonts, maybe something that's throwback or retro, that kind of vibe, right?
Right.
Like motorcycles and mechanics, that kind of vibe. So you're looking for the right vibe, so you would go down and make this thing. And so you might make a pretty good guide on how to pick a logo designer. And then you can break out those parts and pieces and do micro content marketing and then put that out there.
Right.
All right, so you guys that are watching this video, think about this. Who are you going to sell a $5,000 logo to? What do they need? So that we just gave you one idea. I'm sure if we sat around, we can come up with multiple ideas. Do you have another one you can think of that is relative to the logos?
You've hired a logo designer. What comes next?
Okay.
That's a great blog article. That you
How to
can
give feedback in
Yeah.
a creative way that empowers the designer to give you more and not less.
what you should expect at the end of the project
There you
from
go.
your logo designer.
Or here's 3 things you need to ask every logo designer for. 1, 2, 3. A couple other things you can do is to say, are you getting the most out of your logo? Like, what are the best applications to put your logo on?
Yep.
So that might be an email blast, your email signature, and a business card.
Right.
So think about future applications. So you need to think about your logo as it translates into a favicon or a 150 by 150 pixel Facebook icon. Does it look good there?
Or a mural in your barbershop.
Okay, so we're scaling the logo up and down. We're making sure it looks good. Here's another pain point, I think. And a lot of people run into this because when they start out their business, they do things on the cheap and fast. Now the business is growing. They're aware of their own brand at this point, and they think the logo looks amateurish. They print it on cheap business cards, paper stock. And so then they hand it out, they kind of feel like, it's like apologetic. I'm going to give you this one card, and it doesn't look good because they're not aware of different printing techniques and process. So rarely have I ever met a client that feels that the brand, the external facing parts of their brand, matches how they feel about the brand on the inside. Like, I'm $1 million company, I want to feel like $1 billion company. I'm a small mom and pop shop, I want to feel like a reputable, substantial, consistent, powerful brand, whatever that is. That's where designers excel. They can make things look more expensive, of higher quality than they are. That's all about packaging. Because to tell you the truth, if you look at bottled water, that's almost 100% marketing.
Right.
And it's all in the bottle, the packaging, the label, the logo, and then therefore the brand. So that's, I think, one of the big key takeaways in terms of how you get out of designing a $50 logo into something with another 0 or 2 zeros.
And it's also just moving out of that market too, because if you're doing logos for $50, my initial hope was that maybe they'll refer me to different people, and maybe I can increase the logo, the cost that way. What I've learned is people refer people like them, and so it was difficult for me to earn more.
Well, think about
money.
the story that's being created.
Yeah.
Oh, Mary, you got to meet my designer, Ben.
Right.
He does great logos. He knocked this thing out for $50. You should definitely call him.
Right.
They're not trying to hurt you. They're trying to help you,
Exactly.
right? In all your relationships, you got to think about it. When somebody does a really good job, goes above and beyond, they go and tell other friends. But because of the relationship that you set up, you're going to get more of the same.
Yeah.
And you know why that is, right? Because people hang out with people just like themselves.
Exactly.
So it's not that often that a homeless person is going to hang out with a billionaire. It just doesn't work that way. Not often. I'm not saying never, just not often. How valuable am I? And it's an issue of supply and demand. If I'm really valuable, I just want to test and see. Oh, okay, 750, like I'm getting some pushback, but that's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep doing that until like people stop booking me, or they say that's too much, I can't afford it. And I'm like, I'll work with you. So I used to not get paid to speak. Now I get paid $1,000 an hour to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like I asked for $10 at a time. I'm like, I'm worth this. Would you like me to speak? The first couple were just really about me learning how to be comfortable on stage. And when I say the first couple, I mean the first 55 versions of that. Any other practical things you can tell your younger self to get out of the $50 logo to something much more?
We've talked about ways that you can raise your self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that having high self-confidence, even if you're a humble guy like me, I'm really kind of, I don't like to boast, that kind of stuff. But having the confidence to ask for more money, it starts from inside. And so you really have to look at like your internal dialogue and how you're talking to yourself. When we were talking about that, finding people to pay for $5,000 logos, what was your reaction in your head when that number popped out? And really kind of analyze that dialogue and see, because for me, I thought that was crazy, and I was putting that restriction on myself. And so having the confidence, to charge more money.
How do you do that?
It's a great question.
To say.
It's a great question, and
it's easy to say.
Yeah, it is easy to say. For me, it's one of the things that you had me do was write a letter to myself,
Mm-hmm.
and so I did that. And in the letter, I just congratulated myself for achieving so many different things, going
Right.
full time, starting a business, hiring employees, all this kind of stuff. This is later down the road, but had I done that initially, this transition may have happened a lot faster and without the pain.
Mm-hmm.
So, that exercise is gold.
I almost think sometimes we need permission from somebody
Yeah.
that we trust, that we respect, that has enough knowledge, just to let us do it.
Right.
That there's so much about, maybe it's about our educational system, about the way we grew up, but just boxing ourselves into a very tight space. And so we choose words to describe ourselves internally that we're not even aware of.
Right.
Like you described yourself maybe as Ben Burns, the ex-veteran, ex-undercover cop, but not Ben Burns as a world-beating, influential, innovative designer. So you're
Right.
going around, and a lot of people in the creative field suffer from this imposter syndrome.
I was just going to say that.
Here it comes.
Yeah, imposter
You're
syndrome.
an imposter. And so you're apologetic.
Right.
You're waiting to be discovered. You're waiting for somebody to out you and say you're a total hack, you have no talent. And what we do oftentimes is we compare. We compare to learn. We know that. I think it's Tony Robbins who talks about this quite often. He says, explaining and communication and understanding is really about grabbing something you don't know to something that you do know and making a connection between those two things. So making a connection between something you don't know and something you do know. So what we're doing is like, I don't know of myself as a professional designer. I know no professional designer, so I feel like I'm not that guy. I didn't go to a private art school in a big city. I didn't graduate top of the class, and I didn't do all these things. So therefore, I must not be that thing. So over some time, you start telling yourself this stuff.
I had a little bit of an identity crisis and this imposter syndrome badly. And really, those experiences have taught me a great deal of positive stuff that I'm proud of today. And so, figuring out what if you do have that imposter syndrome, and figuring out, how to beat it.
I think the
It's
imposter
difficult.
syndrome is the grass is greener complex. You desire something that you're not, and you can only see the things that you're lacking and missing. So let's change the conversation.
Yeah.
Change it and focus it on the things you already are. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it as doubling down or tripling down on your strengths and F the weaknesses. Just go all in on your strengths. So I look at it like I'm an emerging self-taught graphic designer. That's pretty cool. Versus I'm not a hoity-toity designer graduating from one of those schools.
Right.
Like that jerk over there. I'm pointing to somebody behind me, but you know what I'm saying? Right. So if anything I can do, I'm going to look at the camera right now and say this to you guys. I'm giving you the permission to tell you right now, you are good enough when the client calls you. The minute they call you, you're already qualified for the job. Because something you've done, your reputation, the body of work, something you've already done, got you the call to begin with. And so then the game begins. And the game isn't about proving yourself to that person. It's actually quite the opposite. It's just the person a good fit for you. Okay, so if you've had some success with work you've done, and people are heaping praise upon you, next time out, anybody calls you, including that same client, I want you to double the price. Now, if it's $10,000, $20,000 might be too much. So play around with that, but you understand the concept. Keep pushing the ceiling on this until you hit the limit. And don't take into consideration what school you went to, what degree you got, what city you live in, how many awards you won, because none of that matters. It's the internal belief that matters. So go out there and get it. And when you do, when you add a zero, when you double the budget, just don't forget your friend, send me 10%. Hashtag 10%. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up. I really appreciate talking to you about this and helping me to understand some of the pain points that our audience may or may not be going through. Is there any closing thoughts that you have, Ben?
I don't charge $50 for a logo anymore.
Okay, so you can't
Just
get you
want to
for $50
make
bucks.
that clear.
What would you charge for a logo right now? What is the price that you can get for a logo right now?
So we're signing a contract tomorrow
Okay,
on a $30,000 identity project.
that's great. So what's in the identity project?
A logo and a style guide.
Logo and a style guide. That's excellent.
Yep.
Style guide is colors, primary, secondary font. Don't
Yep.
do this, don't do that. That's great. That's like really good money.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Leave your comments below. Like this video if you like it, and see you next time.